Welcome back to Resistance Chicks, who cannot keep her mouth shut when we do the intro or the exit. She's like a little child, okay? Today is, November 2nd, 2017? So I get home from a pet visit this evening, and Leah tells me of some very exciting news.
Yeah, we wanted to bring you some news, and I had some stories lined up, and my brain was kind of filled with a lot of uranium-1, neptunium. I've been studying all these scientific things on what you can do with uranium afterwards, and it's all these planetary names for new elements. But anyway, so all that scientific stuff, and my brain was like fried. And then I remembered...
The gods, we don't believe in them, we only believe in one God, but God himself shined down.
Oh! And it wouldn't have been this awesome. This morning I read this story, and I was like, that's nice. But then I saw that
Elizabeth Warren, God bless Pocahontas.
What I saw happening was a dead animal in the woods.
A dead one or a dying one?
Dead. And the vultures just hovering around. And I couldn't take my eyes off of the vultures devouring the Clinton creature. And it was mesmerizing, and I want to share this mesmerizing experience with you, because I think that you will be as fascinated as I am watching the vultures devour.
It is fascinating.
This hideous creature.
Now remember, the vultures are not exactly like your favorite bird of prey. They're kind of...
Good stinking point, by the way. That was a really good point.
Do we have volume?
Yes, I would like to bring to you and introduce you to Pocahontas here. Aww. Elizabeth Warren. Otherwise, a.k.a. we call her Pocahontas because, as you can tell, she's an Indian.
She's very Indian.
She's a Native American, and she has gotten scholarships and things based on her Native Americanness, even though the Cherokee have no record of her Native Americanness. All right, so to just drop the line for you, Donna Brazile.
Donna Brazile. Donna Brazile. If she doesn't scare you, no evil thing will. Donna Brazile.
That's a take from Cruella de Vil, if you have not seen 101 Dalmatians. But she wrote a book, and I would never have read it. I don't care. That woman is evil.
She is evil. Now, you'll remember her from the debates.
Yes.
She had given the questions to Hillary in advance.
From CNN.
Yeah.
But it's come out, she put it in her book, that Hillary came to the DNC. After Obama, the DNC was left in debt. And Clinton said, if I can control the whole DNC, the whole thing, where the whole Democratic National Committee is going, we will pay off the debt. And so it was signed like in 2015. And so, of course, Bernie Sanderites have been saying this for, it was rigged. And everybody's like shrugging off their shoulders. Just get over it, you Bernie Sanderites. Just stop whining. And you know what? Wherever corruption is, especially if it's Clinton corruption, even if it's against Bernie Sanders, I'm going to call it out.
Yep.
All right.
Today from former Democratic National Committee Chairwoman Donna Brazile, that the Clinton campaign, in her view, did rig the presidential nominating process by entering into an agreement to control day-to-day operations at the DNC. The Clinton campaign controlling the party's staffing, strategy, finances, communications, and that agreement was entered into in August 2015, a year before she defeated Senator Bernie Sanders. This must shock you.
Look, this is a real problem, but what we've got to do is...
Not shocked.
Democrats now is we've got to hold this party accountable.
Wait, I have to do it again. This is Pocahontas' blue-eyed, blonde-haired, not shocked face. Know it all along, Jake Tapper. Why are you so shocked? So shocked.
And Tom Perez was first elected chair of the DNC.
Jasper's
the very first
really
conversation I had with him is to say, you have got to put together a Democratic Party in which everybody can have confidence that the party is working for Democrats rather than Democrats are working for the party. And he's being tested now. This is a test for Tom Perez. And either he's going to succeed by bringing Bernie Sanders and Bernie Sanders representatives into this process, and they're going to say it's fair, it works, we all believe it, or he's going to fail. And I very much hope he succeeds. I hope for Democrats everywhere.
Wait for the kicker here.
I hope for Bernie and for all Bernie supporters that he's going to succeed.
Very quickly, Senator, do you agree with the notion that it was rigged?
Yes.
I love that part.
One more time. This is my favorite part of this whole thing.
Succeed.
Very quickly, Senator, do you agree with the notion that it was rigged?
Yes.
One more time.
Very quickly, Senator, do you agree with the notion that it was rigged?
Yes.
So, if it's horrible to have a foreign power rigging your election, but it's okay if you're the one rigging the election.
Well, duh.
Hillary Clinton's, I'm not a foreign power, right? So-called. All right, so let's go to Wolf Blitzer here, who corners this Democrat who can't answer the question because his head is spinning.
Congressman, while I have you, get to another topic. Very sort of shocking revelation from the former Democratic National Committee interim chair Donna Brazile, who now says the Clinton campaign actually reached a formal deal before Donna Brazile arrived at the DNC to control the DNC long before Hillary Clinton was officially the nominee. She says this in a new book that is just coming out. In exchange for raising money and investing in the DNC, Hillary would control the party's finances, strategy, and all the money raised. That deal was signed in August of 2015, a year before Hillary Clinton actually won the party's presidential nomination. What's your reaction to this?
I haven't read the book yet. I look forward to reading the book. I know Donna Brazile. I think she's a brilliant thinker, and she's a former Hill staffer, and I'm always excited to hear what she has to say.
Because as you know, the Democrat Party, the Democratic National Committee, not supposed to take sides in a contest for the presidential nomination.
No, that would be called rigging the election.
Sanders, presumably, he's reading all of this. His supporters are reading all of this. They're pretty upset to see there was this formal arrangement that was worked out between the Hillary Clinton campaign a year before she got the nomination and the DNC. You're a Democrat. You want to elaborate a little bit on this latest information we're now getting for Donna Brazile?
Well, I wasn't privy to any kind of deal. We were focused in Indiana, statewide, and even in the 7th District in terms of getting the vote out, making sure voters were engaged, making sure our constituents
He's got that Washington spin around. He's on spin cycle.
Talk about the changing tide that
Don't worry, it's going to hit Rents here in a minute.
And how we can deal with that. I was enmeshed in that.
But if not, if what?
Wait, we're not done. We're not. Oh, there was.
I think he was about to say, dude, if what she is saying is true, how's that make you feel? And he was probably going to say,
we're going to Laura
another spin.
Here we go.
Say another collusion between the Clinton campaign and Russia is being largely ignored. That comes after the Washington Post revealed Hillary Clinton's campaign helped fund a salacious dossier about President Trump. Congressman Trey Gowdy wants to know exactly who authorized the dossier's funding.
One of the areas of
sorry, guys.
significance, Chris, is just how hard the Democrats in Congress fought Republicans for trying to gain access to this information. If it were up to Adam Schiff and other Democrats, who of course want all the facts to come out, they want all the facts of Russia to come out, except who financed the dossier. I'm also interested in sharing some memory tricks with folks at the DNC, because no one can remember who paid $10 million to a law firm to do Oppo research. I find that stunning. $10 million, and no one can remember who.
Somebody wrote the check.
Somebody lost $10 million, man.
Who authorized it, who approved it.
I once found a $20 bill outside.
Speaking as a former attorney. Joining us now for reaction is Congressman Devin Nunes, the Republican chairman of the House Intel Committee. Congressman, you look great this hour. Look, you're here. Thanks for being with us on the first show. Okay, so where are we now on this? To make it easy for our viewers to understand and follow this, where are we today?
So there's a lot of moving parts. So let's start with, we still have information from Fusion GPS that we need from the bank. We still have a whole host of information from the Department of Justice and FBI that we hope to begin to get tomorrow. So we are just really at the beginning of unraveling questions that we've been asking since March. And let me go to what Mr. Gowdy's comment was there. If people really believe that the FBI did not know who paid for that dossier, I've got a bridge to sell you. There is no possible way that the FBI did not know who paid for that dossier.
He said he's got a bridge to sell you.
Month after month.
So who's lying at the FBI? Who specifically said that?
We don't know if is it just Comey or is it the whole FBI? And let's just
what you're saying about the FBI there, that's quite a charge.
Absolutely. This is the government out of control.
We hear about deep state, we hear about these.
So that's a really great clip,
Laura.
and we can go on and on. Okay, so this is me. Listen, there was a horrible attack that happened a couple days ago. However, it is my firm Resistance Chicks conspiracy theory belief that this is what is called a false flag, set up and designed by the deep state to throw us off of this. Because this is where the anointing of God is at, shining the light in the darkness of the darkest evil in our country. These are the people who kill millions of people around the world for war profiteering. And they put our country last. They put themselves first. And the top of the list is Hillary and Bill Clinton. And they are the top.
She's going to jail, man.
Of evil in our country.
She's going to die from biting down on one of those. The only thing I can think there are two pills.
I got some theories. Maybe one is that she does have a brain tumor, and everyone knows it. She's going to die, so they
peg her.
They're throwing exactly. So everything that has happened,
washes their hands.
So they literally can box up everything and just put it on Hillary, and then the deep state can continue the train. The last thing the deep state wants is to be identified, because there are people who actually, whether you know it or not, the Clintons didn't come up with all this stuff. They're not that smart. They're not that intelligent. They're not that witty. They're not. They don't do anything. They are pawns to a game. There are people in the CIA at CSI.
Uncle Jack watches CSI.
Sorry. There are people in the CIA, the Department of Justice, and the FBI, and every other person in the alphabet soup down to the Department of Agriculture. They manipulate things for their own financial gain. You know,
it's not just finances, though. It's power. You name it.
Exactly. And these people travel in circles, and they literally, when they go out to dinner and when they go to parties, places that you and I have never even, we don't even know these places exist,
they plan, they scheme, they connive.
We can't even afford to look in the window at these places that they eat and they hobnob at. They scheme.
Speak for yourself.
I wouldn't want to.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? My point is that Sean Hannity and Tucker Carlson and even Alex Jones and a lot of the other people are talking about ISIS. If you say ISIS one more time, you have to say CIA.
FBI.
Because everyone knows that, or you should know, or if you don't know, I'll let you know, that when it comes to Syria, who was it Qatar? Did I share this with you guys? I don't know if we didn't get a chance to go live with this information. The president of Qatar came out and said, "Listen, we all funded ISIS."
I don't think we covered that.
Okay, it was Saudi Arabia, Qatar, the United States, and I believe Israel. And they funded ISIS in Syria. And then, as the U.S. backed out a little bit, Qatar's like, dude, you don't leave your friends hanging. We did this.
Right.
And I'm admitting to it. And he was proud of it.
Yeah.
Okay? So, my point is that these things are deeply tied together.
So don't rob a bank with Donna Brazile or Qatar. Because they are going to oust you.
Everybody's ousting everybody. Weinstein, Kevin Spacey's got a couple young accusers now. Dustin Hoffman, we covered that earlier this afternoon. My point is that when I'm researching Sapava, what a name! It's a mouthful.
Get it? Safulo, and this is the person. that committed the atrocious act.
Exactly.
In Manhattan.
I've been researching him and seeing who he's from, and yes, there is an Islamic element to it. Yes, there is an ISIS element to it, but I believe that because whenever the mainstream media is so quick, the mainstream media was quick to say Islamic terror. Then they blamed
so fast
President Bush, and then the mayor, Cuomo, yeah, that guy, New York mayor, he said, it was a lone wolf, and there was one guy, and he acted alone. Right. Well, listen, unless you're on the inside of this, you don't know that, or do you know?
They know.
Or do you know?
They
do you know? Because this is the CIA set it up as a one guy. So we're not done. I have one more video. I have two more videos here that will just tickle you pink, I believe.
National Committee. Former DNC head Donna Brazile accusing Hillary Clinton's campaign of rigging the nomination process against Bernie Sanders ahead of the 2016 election.
Even this guy looks happy, right?
Fox News chief Washington correspondent James Rosen.
It's a giggle fest.
Wanted to try to get reaction on the Donna Brazile revelations this morning, Mr. Sanders.
Senator Bernie Sanders had no comment on Donna Brazile,
former
Democratic National Committee chair, whose forthcoming memoir alleges in an excerpt in Politico that under her predecessor, Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, quote, the DNC was rigging the system to throw the primary to Hillary.
Thank you all for the great convention that we've had.
I love that they use this clip.
The Clinton campaign raised $10 million to retire 80% of the party's bank debt, but exacted a steep price. The agreement, Brazile writes, signed by Amy Dacey, the former CEO of the DNC, and Robbie Mook of the Clinton campaign, with a copy to the campaign's general counsel, Mark Elias, specified that in exchange for raising money and investing in the DNC, Hillary would control the party's finances, strategy, and all the money raised. Her campaign had the right of refusal of who would be the party communications director, and it would make final decisions on all the other staff. The DNC also was required to consult with the campaign about all other staffing, budgeting, data, analytics, and mailings. This Victory Fund agreement had been signed in August 2015, just 4 months after Hillary announced her candidacy and nearly a year before she officially had the nomination.
There were lots of things that were shocking about it. One, the financial condition of the DNC. Two, the way the DNC then had to rely on the Clinton campaign.
I just have to stop here because it would be something huge if she had just come out and say we had this understanding. We had an understanding.
Right.
They wrote it down in paper and signed it.
Don't do
the
that.
money and the resources to continue even operating.
In a statement, Wasserman Schultz told Fox News she is proud of her work at DNC and urged Democrats to remain focused on a progressive agenda.
Madam Secretary, any response to what Donna Brazile is saying?
The Clinton campaign did not respond to our query, nor would the Federal Elections Commission disclose whether it is investigating Brazile's allegations. Brazile said she searched for other evidence of a rigged primary and found none.
I'll be asking some questions as well, along with my friend Roland Martin of TV1.
Yet the excerpt neglects to mention that Brazile used her dual role as a CNN commentator to steer CNN debate questions to Clinton in advance. For months, Brazile denied having done so.
Where did you get it?
As a Christian woman, I understand persecution, but I will not sit here and be persecuted because your information is totally false.
But in an essay for Time magazine last May, Brazile belatedly acknowledged having done so and called it a mistake she will regret forever. The DNC's new leadership told reporters they have restructured the party's fundraising and are now committed to electing Democrats every year in every zip code.
Yay for you. Good luck with that. One more from Pocahontas because this one's even better. I saved the best for last.
Do you think, though, that what we're learning from Donna Brazile's book suggests that the campaign, that what the Democratic National Committee did, meant this election was rigged?
Yeah, I think it was.
It's a pretty powerful charge.
Well, what we have to focus on now as Democrats is we recognize the process was rigged. And now it is up to Democrats to build a new process, a process that really works and works for everyone. And that as we go forward, we have confidence in the integrity of the system, that Democrats, as they run a primary, are going to let the people speak. And that we're going to have a candidate who's the candidate chosen by the people.
I love that the party of the commies don't have a candidate of the people, by the people, for the people, and that like the commie candidate, Bernie Sanders, is hiding under a rock right now. Why? If he really was the Lenin Stalin that everyone who actually enjoys communism ideals wishes he was,
right?
Would he not be on the forefront taking Clinton down, running to take over? He actually, seriously, if he took down the Clintons and ran to take down the Clintons,
it would elevate him.
Would take over the Democratic Party.
But that would take. It would be a very manly thing to do.
He can't because he's not principled.
Right.
And he has never held a real job in his life.
Right.
He doesn't want to work. He ran because he was floating. He's just been floating along. Right. And he just talks to people. And he tells them, you know, you gotta have health care. And, you know, you gotta have the free college. You know, it doesn't matter how we're gonna pay for it. Okay?
Right.
Just elect me.
Let me be clear here. We have a lot of Bernie supporters that still follow us, and we love you guys. But I feel like there has got to be a representative that can represent what you guys believe better than Bernie.
Better than Bernie. Come on, y'all. There's somebody better than Bernie.
Yes.
I think I had one more. We're going to get to Corey Feldman in a second. I'm really excited about this. I mean, just like I'm floored. I have so many stories for you guys. I thought I had one more clip from Fox News here, but I guess I don't. We're cool. How much more do you want to see? I am dancing right now on the inside. I am over the moon.
You could dance on the outside. They would like it.
I was when you saw me moving around. Listen, some people are, I want to show you Trump's tweets. That's what I want to show you.
Let's get to Trump's tweets.
There are people who actually hate Donald Trump who love his tweets.
Wasn't there a guy who tried to sue either Bernie or the DNC for this and had his case kicked out of the court as being frivolous? That sounds familiar?
Sure. Yeah, I think so. Are you ready?
Donna
Brazile just stated the DNC rigged the system to illegally steal the primary from Bernie Sanders, bought and paid for by Crooked H. This is real collusion and dishonesty, major violation of campaign finance laws and money laundering. Where is our Justice Department? Now,
well, you kind of
Jeff
are in control of the
Sessions.
Justice Department.
What is going on?
What is he doing?
I hate to keep calling for people to go, right? But Jeff Sessions got to go. He isn't doing anything at all. He's come out
We've been behind him in the past.
Yeah, like he's gone on the illegal immigration. Is he only a one-track dude?
Pony.
Can he only do illegal?
He's going after marijuana.
That's
not the important issue.
Stop it, you guys. Jeff Sessions. Let the people do their thing. Just let them smoke. They're going to be idiots. Whatever. You have to take down the big dogs.
Right.
People are smoking pot because the country's messed up. Okay? Because it's just awful. Let them go into their little world. There's a scripture for that. Let a homeless man get drunk and drink in his
For the record, we believe that pot should be illegal. But
I don't technically believe it should be illegal. I believe it should not be smoked. Because
whatever. The point is that that's not the issue that we should be going after right now.
Exactly.
That is the point.
Because I've been around people who smoke pot and they are worse than drunk people and they stink and it's pretty bad. So anyways, this was really exciting for me.
This is, somebody had, you said you were dancing and they went with, oh, what a feeling, and we're dancing on the ceiling.
That's nice.
That wasn't a really good rendition of that.
Try again.
No, you do it. Hang on, pause. You do it.
That song.
Dancing on the ceiling.
That was close.
You know the song.
Not off the top of my head.
Maybe I'm too young for that. Can I cop out with that one?
So
no, I can't. I do
there's a lot of great comments. I want you to look through that. People who hate Donald Trump are like, yeah, you're right about this. So, I wish I could stay on this all day, but we have to move on.
Hang on, wait. Let me read some of the comments.
Okay.
Richard Head, USSR being a traditional enemy is an indoctrinated teaching of the U.S. government, brainwashed by the people with, and I think you were going to continue with something else there, but Britt Baza says, Pat Hacker, yes, the USSR doesn't exist any longer, but Russia, the primary country of the USSR, still accepts a lot of influence in the former USSR countries. Pat Hacker says, Uzbekistan and Kyrgyzstan are threats to Russia. Let's see. Sessions, leave 14 states alone, please. That is my view. Priority Sessions, priorities. Let's see. Britt, until the regime change by Obama admin in Ukraine and the color revolution. Pot should be by prescription only in pill form like other medications. So I wanted to get to a couple of the comments because we haven't been doing that very much lately. Ooh. Here comes Patriot Gallery.
Well, I think you kind of brushed over it. Everybody always brushes over this. It's like the CIA, the FBI.
We didn't brush over it.
Wait a minute. Wait until I say it.
Okay.
The Department of Justice. Yeah. You know, all these departments. The government is supposed to go after the big guys.
Right.
Like the mafia. And we're supposed to have these huge cases of really big international corruption and all this other stuff. And they don't do anything. When was the last big case of somebody who was really big and
that goes down?
Right.
Yeah.
And their whole organization, they bring them all in.
Mob bosses.
Yeah. I mean,
drug runners.
The government is all the bad guys. So I think Jeff Sessions realizes his job is to protect the bad guys now, because the government's a corporation. And a corporation, the Justice Department defends the bad.
Well, if you heard Devin Nunes there, this is really serious, and it actually is so awesome to hear him say this. This is the FBI.
Yes.
The FBI with the dossier.
Yep.
That's why, like, I've spent the last, I've listened to 4 hours in the past 2 days between Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity, waiting for some new information on the Mueller investigation on Uranium One, and they had it, but they had pushed it forward, and they spent the 4 hours I listened to doing pet visits. I just listened to it while I was,
walking dogs, scooping cat litter
and stuff like that, and I was like, I do not want to hear another word about ISIS and Islamic terror when 8 people died. Right? And that's really sad. But the Clinton machine and our CIA and FBI are involved in taking down our country and other countries across the world every single day. And they want to pin our focus. And I will call out, you guys know we're going to call out of the fundamentals of Islam and how bad it is.
We do it all the time.
But right now, this attack is a false flag. This is CIA to get our attention off of the Clintons. You know that they're capable of doing this. You know that they're doing this. You know they killed Seth Rich. You know that somebody else inside the DNC leaked these things. And here's the thing. The FBI, as Devin Nunes has pointed out, used information collected in the dossier to disseminate amongst those 17 organizations that confirmed that, there's collusion or things like that. So our whole investigation into Trump-Russia collusion right now is based on that dossier funded by the DNC and Hillary Clinton. Now, first she said she didn't know who funded it. And then she went on Trevor Noah and said, it was just opposition research. People do this all the time. Every word that comes out of her mouth is a lie. And I don't know what made Donna Brazile write this in her book.
I know, that's very strange. But what I was going to say is the FBI and the CIA are not only complicit, but they really are behind all of this. And it's no coincidence also that these JFK files are coming out.
Right.
And JFK was killed because he knew what was going on with the corruption with the CIA. And I was telling Leah the other day, we do not need a CIA anymore, all right? The Cold War is over. We don't need spies. We don't need, they're not needed. These are big boys wanting to play spy man. All right,
and shoot them up and kill people, and use their big weapons.
They are non-functioning, but they are functioning. They're not necessary. They're not constitutional.
Speaking of the Second Amendment, our Second Amendment was actually designed to make sure that the citizenry had all the weapons that the government had. At the time, citizens actually owned cannons. You could own anything.
You can't own a cannon now?
Oh, I don't know, but my point is that
I own a cannon.
As more evil is created, the government creates weapons that are very destructive.
Right.
And so the citizenry is actually obliged under the Constitution and Second Amendment to keep up with the weaponry of the government.
Here. I like where you're going.
You don't want to keep these kind of weapons.
To have the weapons in case we need to defend ourselves.
Overthrow the government.
And we can't. So we all need Uzis. Right?
It's like as if you are going to keep doing your big boy war games.
Yes.
And spending billions of dollars creating more and more violent weapons, which I will agree with you that they are violent and they shouldn't exist.
Yes.
Especially in the hands of our government.
Yes.
But if they're going to have them, then we have to have them. Do you understand?
They don't only exist in the hands of our government because our government has them in their hands and then they give them over to ISIS.
Yes.
Here's our big weapon.
This is how communist regime starts. This is how North Korea starts. This is how Chairman Mao was able to get his whole government started because the people didn't have the weaponry to stand up for themselves against a wicked dictator. So it's not that we want to keep a bunch of crazy weapons. We don't want to.
No.
I'd rather just go back to, I don't like guns per se.
I mean, either.
I find them dangerous. I hate them loaded. I am a stickler for safety. So is Kansas. We like it. It's fun to shoot a gun. It is. It's fun. But you have to have a healthy respect and fear for these weapons because they can kill people just like an automobile.
Right.
And so the fact that we actually need to own weapons that can cause severe damage is disconcerting to me. So I say if we're going to have an arms disarmament of the people, then the government has to disarm itself first.
Yeah, you lay down your weapons first, government.
And so that we have equal weapons between the government and the people.
Right. So also, while I'm thinking of it, why do I always brandish my knife on the show? Did so earlier today. Got thinking about that. I think it's kind of a wise thing for the cray-cray viewers.
When you do that, though, just FYI, for knife safety, like when you open it like over here.
Okay. I'm just telling people that I think it's not a bad idea for the cray-cray viewers to know that we can protect ourselves. Just saying, if they ever come and find us, because they are crazies, we are, I thought that might be important.
Right. So I want to connect some dots together, and some of these connections are more, the tensile strength is along a little bit dental flossy. However, somebody brought up Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan, and so you went there, and I'm going to go there because that's where my brain went today. I'm going to give you a small kind of taste of what I was researching and what I was kind of putting together, because this guy did do this, Safely Sapavov. The first interesting connection I want to make with you is that there was another Sapov, how do you say his name? Sapov, who was in the news October 25th. Neptunian, that's what I was looking up, and this guy's here. I only left this up because I want you to watch that if you really want to get into this. Sapov's Aishir Sapov. It's here we go. Alishir Sapov. Now, they have the same last name. They're both Uzbek. Well, he's actually
unrelated.
I don't know.
Well, we're assuming.
I don't know.
Nobody's made the connection yet. Let's put that
I'm
way.
still looking for the connection. I believe that they are connected somehow. I mean, I was trying to find out how common this last name is. They have the same exact last name. They have the look, but it's this Asian Arab look because that's the area that they're from.
Sure.
So they kind of look a lot alike, but that could just be everybody looks a lot alike there.
So why did he die so young?
10 years ago. And they're actually, we're not celebrating, but mourning or bringing up his death on October 25th. This year, because it's his 10-year anniversary. He was a journalist. He's actually from Kazakhstan. You're going to have to, I giggle when I say all these different former Soviet names. Kyrgyzstan, Stanistan, everything's a stan. Anyways, but he is of Uzbek ethnic origin. So he's Uzbek, so is the other guy, Safely, Sapov. And he wrote articles critical of the Uzbek government, but what was also interesting, he actually worked for our Voice of America in the region. Now, Voice of America is our way of propaganda across the world.
Right.
So they use people who speak the language and they get the message across, you know, freedom, democracy. It's a Cold War type thing, you know, right. You want the freedom. But anyways, he was murdered and his family believes it was the government. I find that this guy, Sapov, would have known that the murderer would have known that the murderee was murdered. And that everybody in the whole country was mourning his death once again. They have turned this man's home into a museum. We've never heard of him. You've never heard of him. But in Uzbekistan, he's as famous as you get.
Sure.
Okay? And so, of course, the Sapov guy who did the murdering
would have known.
Would have known. And it was October 25th. That was the anniversary. And the fact that he went on a murdering spree a few days later... The connection is maybe he was
it could be a coincidence.
Doing this as a revenge.
Sure.
Because of this. So I'm throwing that out there because that's a conspiracy theory that I think might be proven to be true. Now, to get to Saifullah Sapov, he has a very interesting connection to my neighborhood. Seriously, my neighborhood. This guy, he was supposed to be just like some poor Uber driver. No. He's like part of like the Shell company, trucking companies, dude. And this woman did some research, and I think it was this woman, and showed that he had a trucking company registered under the Ohio registry, but I looked it up, and other people looked it up, and so I found the address, dude, and it's like...
It's apartments.
15 minutes from my house. I'm not even kidding you. It's in Sycamore Stinking Township. It's 15...
It doesn't surprise
maybe
me, though,
20 minutes down
that it would
road.
be in Sycamore, though, because it seems like that's the type of area. It's a kind of a snooty area where they go.
So here it is, right here, dude.
They infiltrate into...
Right off of 71.
I don't know why I would think they would go to kind of like... harsher neighborhoods. They actually go to the Ritchie neighborhoods, which is what Sycamore is.
I'm not going to show you where my house is, man, but it's really close to this. Like, literally 15-minute drive to here. So, why is this interesting? This particular address is actually Snooty Apartments. I don't know if I can turn this to satellite. And the... How do you...
So the question is, how can it be a trucking company in an apartment complex?
Well, and that's just the thing. He used the address of a family friend, a man and his family who were friends with his family, and he stayed there for 2 weeks. So him and this other dude used this address as their trucking company address. Now, what kind of company was involved in the Russian... Now remember, I should show you a map. I'm going to show you a map.
Now, is this the thing that George Webb was...
George Webb was putting this stuff together. I'm going to give you this... I'm going to show you a map. I don't know if they show you the countries. Okay, so here you have Russia, right? So you've got Russia here, Kazakhstan, and Uzbekistan. Kyrgyzstan, so Russia, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan. Remember, you had these countries as part of the former Soviet bloc. So you really still have, the old Soviet mindset is still there in a lot of people, right? We were in Russia in 1990 and 95. I'm not that old. Well, I could have been there in 1990.
But we were old enough to remember.
1995, we were in Russia, and the wall had just fallen a few years before.
Right.
Our uncle started Procter & Gamble in Russia. Very interesting. We Russian agents.
Yeah.
So
told them that.
Yeah, but we don't like our uncle, so
we don't claim it. But we were there.
He's one of those elitists, probably part of the whole Illuminati. Anyways, my point is we were there. We got pulled over by a cop. And
it wasn't just a cop, man.
It was just some cops. No, that was one time. I was just telling you the first. I'll tell you about that time. Okay. One time we were in Moscow and we got pulled over by a cop, and my Uncle George is like, "Don't worry, I'll get out. I'll take care of this." All you do is you give him money. That's all you do. Now,
like Russia. The other time, give you money.
The other time we got pulled over was by a tank with guys in like, fatigues
with automatic weapons walking up to the car.
And I remember asking my uncle, "Can I take their picture?"
Hang on, though, we did. Maybe we should dig those out. Where are those pictures?
We should show them those pictures.
I'm gonna have to find. I'm finding that stuff.
So we did take their picture, but there was no smiling going on at that time. There was no selfies. There was no cell phones.
This was actually an actual camera, probably the type of camera that you had to go.
A roll of film that had to be.
Oh, I'm sure.
Developed. But anyways, my point is that again, you pay off everybody.
Just give them some money.
You pay off the military.
It's like they show up and pull you over with like a cigarette hanging out of their mouth, and they just don't really even have to say anything to you in that kind of Russian.
How do you think they make a living in Russia at the time?
And then you just kind of hand them some money, and then they don't say anything, and then they just walk away. It's a very simple process here.
I thought part of me was like, are we all going to jail?
We did ask. We did kind of wonder, are we going to jail, man? What kind of country do you get pulled over by a tanker?
It was a little scary. I mean, the tanks were everywhere at the time. So anyways, my point is that that mindset doesn't go away that easily. Right. There's a lot of bribing and corruption. I mean, it's in your bones. I mean, if you're born with the bribing and it's just a part of your life in Russia. That's just how you lived. I mean, it was well known.
I'm the kind of person that in the movies, if somebody were to kind of like slip me like a $20 bill to do something, I would just be like.
But remember, and this is also part of a communism. And wherever communism is, it actually breeds the worst of humanity because supplies are so short. Mm-hmm. It makes people lie. It makes people cheat. And it makes people actually harm not only their fellow neighbor, but their family.
But to put money above principle.
Right. So anyways, my point is that Uranium One, the company that was buying the 20% Canadian stake in our uranium, they were caught in this huge trucking scheme.
But it works well to do trucks because then you can move things.
Exactly.
In the trucks.
So you have this Uzbekistanian guy, right, who did this act, and there's a whole lot more, and these guys put this together right here. If you want to watch Jason Goodman here, Element 93, AI Singularity. I'm just like, with this Quinn Michaels is this guy here. He doesn't, you might not think he's much just sitting in his car, but he's really smart. Intelligent. There's not a lot of people that I follow because, quite frankly, once you start talking about Mars, you throw me off. But he was really particular about a lot of these things, and it was this Neptunium element, which I have never heard of.
I guess you don't know all of your elements then.
It's a new element, kind of new. It's a created element. There is a little bit Neptunium in the planet, I guess, because uranium sometimes will have a half-life, blah, 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 blah. But anyways, this is 93, element 93.
All right.
And why is this important? Because Neptunium is actually created as a byproduct of uranium used for nuclear power. It's they would take the leftover. They bombard uranium-238 with neutrons, and they show chemically they can produce Neptunium-239. But then the longer-lived isotope Neptunium-237 was discovered in 1942. They bombarded uranium-238 with fast neutrons. In the Berkeley 60-inch cyclotron, they isolated several hundred milligrams of neptunium and made a thorough study of its properties. Now, why is this important? I didn't know. That's why this is one of those things where I haven't studied for ages and ages and ages. I'm bringing this to you like breaking today. Neptunium, right? 93, element 93. But it's really creepy. No, but it's really creepy because there's, I have to bring up my history. There's a city in Where's the? I had the map up. The map of Russia. There's a city in Kazakhstan, like right here. Okay, it's I wrote it down. Let me get my paper. As is something. As is something. And it was built up in what year? 2010.
I'll get your paper.
Okay, 2010. It was built up. Now, what year did Uranium 1 get 20% of our uranium? Now, I guess there are different grades of uranium. And we in America have like the ability to really refine uranium. Okay? And they don't have the ability in Kazakhstan, who has natural occurring uranium. They have it, right? And so...
You're 20, I'm sliding across.
Yeah. Astania, of course.
No, Sydney.
Astania. All right, so you have Astania, which is, if you look up Astania, uranium, you see this deal going down where this uranium bank was opened up in 2017 in Kazakhstan to stop the spread of nukes. And basically, they had a bank for uranium, like you can just go and get it, and you know, the United States and a bunch of people control it. However, in 2010, what was formerly a desert, pretty much like nothing, turned into Las Stinking Vegas of technology. If you look at some of these pictures, if I can get some of them bigger, Astana is now the capital of Kazakhstan. It has now a university which is free to go to learn all these technical trades. They've got, of course, an orb and a thing because it's all the cultic things.
Is that a real picture?
Yes, this is real. It's if you Google it, Astana is the weirdest city. I mean, it's well known now to be like the weirdest city. Craziest looking little
like
city.
Plans though. That's not real. That's not a real.
No,
picture.
That's real people.
No, go back because it was very digital. Look at it behind you.
Those are
Turn
people.
around.
Okay,
Turn
that
around.
one's digital, but these are real.
We're having an argument now.
Doesn't matter. These are real pictures. That's a real picture.
There it is. That's a real one. The other ones are
that's
plans.
a real picture. Real picture.
Okay, thank you.
Jeez,
that one's fake.
That one. They planned this out in some sort of weird cultic.
Which those pictures prove the plan. How it was like. I mean, they really had a mission to make this,
Look at this.
kind of new agey
energy themed pavilions. So energy, nuclear energy.
Right.
They and the guys I was just telling you about were tying this into AI. Now, you guys are probably 500 steps ahead of me. We have not brought to you the quote from Putin that said that AI, whoever controls artificial intelligence, will control the world.
Wow.
And he's afraid of it. But you know what? He's hedging his bets. Right? So these are a bunch of and Sydney's probably going to need to go upstairs.
Okay, I'll get her.
These are a bunch of things that are interconnecting with each other. This guy's from Uzbekistan. This right here, Uranium Center, right outside of Russia. The guys who wanted the very, very pure uranium were Russian, right? Why did they want it? This guy that I was watching today, sorry I can't remember his name off the top of my head, Quinn Michaels, is saying that they wanted it. They want it because they want the that element 93 is another element that is being kept secret to be able to do a lot of these technological advances. And you guys know that there's the hologen colanders. I'm saying that right. Colander. What? Michelle's not here. Is it a colander?
Colander.
Like how you drain your spaghetti in the colander.
Colander.
Colander. Hello. Colander. So anyways, we're not really that ditzy, but you have to make it funny, right? All right. Self-effacing humor. Right? So these are some ties that I wanted to make to you because these are really deep ties, and I have to thank Patriot Gallery because she came to me and she's like, George Webb and all this stuff, and you got to watch this video, and I'm just like, Mom, that's insane. And then I started to put the things together. I'm like, that's a thing, Mom. That is a thing. That is a thing.
Are you going to play that guy, or are you just going to keep going back to his face?
No, because it's an hour.
Okay.
It's an hour. I have some minutes that were really good.
So we'll link to it so that they can
He talks about Advanced Technology Society, uranium from spent rides, Astania, uranium capital of the world. They have this university that opened in 2010 by Berkeley Labs. I just read to you.
Really important.
I just read to you about Berkeley Labs and uranium, and they're doing a lot of stuff. These elites are doing stuff. And then there's this thing, you guys, that I haven't had a chance to research called LZ Dark Matter. If you guys want to get on that, send me
I thought what they were saying is that they've debunked the fact that dark matter is attainable.
Right.
And so it's really put CERN.
I have a minute here.
It's making CERN look bad. And look stupid because they're not going to be able to do their big, thing.
Let's see. Let me skip this here.
2010.
And
there's also some sort of Abu Dhabi Plaza. So here's the university. I feel like we just flew over the ring complex you were describing. Let me see if I can find that again. So see, this is, not too many people in the United States. Okay, I see a couple of rings here.
If you, I believe...
the United States are very aware of what's going on.
No, we don't know.
So, Quinn, if this is supposed to be some sort of a hidden complex, why would they make it visible from satellites? Why not just put it underground? Why do the rings need to be visible from above?
For a blueprint.
A blueprint for who?
For them, because the day is eventually going to come where they don't have to keep this in secret, and the system is so big that they have satellites map the blueprints based on topographical design. Makes it much easier to maintain a system design if you have the roads as your blueprints.
All right.
So for us in America, they've been hiding it because they've been secretly developing it since the 50s. But most of the ring complexes that have been built up since the 90s, they haven't even bothered hiding them because they just figure, what's anyone going to do to stop them? It's a global network at
That
this
one,
point.
Element 91, 93.
I see. Okay. So you think that the Uranium One deal is directly tied to this worldwide construction of particle accelerators, colliders, etc.
Yeah, it's the only reason that all these people would be secretly working together and creating destabilizing narratives in the public.
Now,
I just linked to that in the description for those of you that want it.
He mentions one of my favorite, not favorite, but one of my favorite people to research, and Kansas's too. Maybe you can drop in Kansas Cowboys NASA edition. He mentions Jack Parsons here, and if you're not familiar with Jack Parsons, take a minute, and you'll just go down a rabbit hole, and you'll end up at some really weird satanic sexual rituals that he did to get rocket fuel. This is seriously real. Like the whole Jack Parsons, Theomite, Aleister Crowley, Ron Hubbard connections. They are well documented, and true. No one can tell me otherwise because these are true. They say it themselves.
Right.
Ron Parsons would perform Aleister Crowley's satanic rituals while he was researching how to create rocket fuel. Okay? There's patches. I'm going to put in here, if you guys want something to do, our very own Kansas Cowboy did a NASA edition where he goes into Jack Parsons and Aleister Crowley. It's so interesting. When I dive down those rabbit holes and I find piece after puzzle piece, these pieces aren't fitting together as well as I would like. But then again, this is happening now, whereas Jack Parsons is history, and you can see L. Ron Hubbard. He's got the books out. He's got a whole. He started the Scientology and things like that based on Scientology is Aleister Crowley. Do what thou wilt.
Fly on the camera.
Dang, it's like one fly every show ends up following us to the filming. I'm going to try.
Hang on, because I want to watch it back, because we have a couple second delay here. I want to see the...
No, you don't want to see it.
I do want to see the fly.
Oh,
that's great.
I I would love to take a whole episode and do the whole Jack Parsons NASA thing, but Matt has already done it.
Right.
So please watch that. You will enjoy it. I want to show you here, just when you Google it, some of the things that come up are the world's weirdest capital. The world's weirdest capital, another one, is Estonia about to become the world's hottest travel destination? And it's all based on this nuclear power and the elites wanting to rule the world. And this guy's making the connection between having this element 93. There it is again. You're gonna.
Gary just said you slapped everybody.
Did I?
Yeah. No, it's not going to go in front. You know, they didn't even see it before, though.
Okay. All right. So they have created this, but it's in the midst of like nowhere. And it has, look at all these pictures, like this crazy architect. Sure, where did they get the money for all of this?
It's a very
Cincinnati doesn't have this because it doesn't have. And
so for those of you that are just joining us, because we're now at 107, give them a recap for why we're talking about Estonia. Just really quick.
Wow, I'm so glad that you guys are here. If you clicked on us because we were talking about Donna Brazile, go back to the beginning.
The beginning when it's over.
We're tying a bunch of things together with the Clintons and Uranium One, and right now we're in Estonia. And until 4 o'clock today, I didn't know where it was and how it existed. But it is the uranium capital of the world, and this ties into Uranium One.
But it also just so happens to be the most technologically advanced city capital in the world.
Yeah, exactly,
so
that we've never heard of.
Equaling the technologically advancedness.
Exactly. So you have Kazakhstan here, and Estonia is like right here, right? And what's interesting about it is not a climate that you would build a whole brand new city on.
It's not like beautiful Florida or California or Hawaii.
The lows get to negative 40 degrees and the highs get to 86. So they actually have to build
negative
buildings.
40 Celsius or Fahrenheit?
Fahrenheit. So they have to build buildings that can take the ebb and movement.
Although I learned the other day from Horatio that Celsius and Fahrenheit meet together at negative 42.
Which is interesting because I just read that it was negative 40 Celsius and negative 40 Fahrenheit.
There you go.
Or something like
We're
that.
We're learning a lot around here at Resistance Chicks.
Thanks, Horatio. Anyways, so
it's not Estonia.
Estonia.
It's that's why she keeps saying Estonia, because that is a country.
Estonia.
Yeah, Astana.
Estonia. Estonia right here.
Right.
Estonia right here. Estonia right here, right? So it's like this most high-tech city that none of us have ever heard of, because they dropped it there on purpose in the middle of nowhere so that it would be free from watching eyes, I'm sure. And it's connected to, in my opinion, Uranium One, and there are corrupt people in Russia, whether you like to know it or not. And guess what? They're tied to the Clintons, which is why the Clintons gave them the stake and knew exactly what they were going to do. They built this high-tech city and everything in 2010. Right after they got the 20% stake of our specially refined uranium.
What in the world?
What in the world? What in the world? What in the world? So this all ties back to Sapov and his and what I was telling you guys is that he was a big rig semi truck driver, and he was arrested in St. Charles, Missouri, because of he was pulled over and he didn't. I can't forget. He was ticketed and he was pulled over and he was arrested. But he has this trucking company, and the address is right down the street from my house, like 15 minutes away. Crazy, but not the address of the trucking company. He wasn't living there. He was using a family friend's housing address for his shell company for trucking. Now, again, you had Russians, but when we show you the map, Russia and Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan are still like... Van, don't you understand? The Soviet Union hasn't fallen for some people, okay?
Right.
And so these Russians could be Kazakhstanians or Uzbekistanians or whatever.
So speaking of this young man that committed the atrocity in Manhattan, do we have any other details or anything on the Manhattan attack?
We just have details of where he was. Here's his he uses his name.
Safe
Motors. He and another man have it registered to their names. They're related companies here. There's 2 companies. So you go to Truth Leaks. Almost got it. And George Webb is doing a real good job on bringing a lot of these things to the forefront. I can't follow all of it. But
and that's fine. The reason that I asked is because if not, then I think we should go ahead and move on to the Corey Feldman thing.
Okay.
As we're hitting into the first, we just finished our first hour.
Okay.
So
Corey, I am so proud of you. I want to, pray for you.
Not only does he name names, but he was on Dr. Oz.
Well,
you're going to get to that?
Yeah, we're putting it together because he names the name on Dr. Oz.
But I was wondering if you want to just go ahead and give him the punchline first, because when I heard the punchline, it made the rest of it more exciting to me.
Well, the punchline is that during an appearance during the Dr. Oz show, he disclosed that the actor in question is none other than John Grisham. He disclosed on the show a name, and so I'm going to play this
I didn't feel like that was the punchline. I felt like the punchline was Dr. Oz is going to back what Corey is doing. To me, that was just finally somebody of note is going to... So we'll get to that in a minute, but let's go ahead and hear it.
That's him.
Yeah, that's him. This guy on his MySpace page and his Facebook page has got pictures of me and Corey Haim.
You're kidding me.
No, but he still taunts it, flaunts it. So we understand you're willing to take a report about a crime that was committed, a sexual assault 20 years ago, 25 years ago?
All right, so we spoke to LAPD. What's your take on it?
I want to give them the names of everybody, and I told them that. I said, look, I'm going to give you the names of everybody I have any knowledge of, and I would like you to start putting the pressure on all of them.
So Matt Lauer really ridiculed
Corey to shreds.
Yeah.
And I kind of wonder really if maybe Dr. Oz has something against Matt Lauer. That's why he's doing this. But for whatever reason. Because when we watched that interview with Lauer, I was standing in the kitchen with Leah while we were watching it, and I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, Matt Lauer was so angry. He was so confrontational, is the word I think that I'm looking for.
I think he's a pedophile. He has to be.
Yeah.
He has to be.
He was angry. That kind of anger doesn't just come.
Right. And so I want to show you Dr. Oz's newsfeed today. So for the first time, he had Corey Feldman on. And so for the first time, he exposes the people in Hollywood. And Dr. Oz says, I stand with Corey. Find out how you can support him. Somebody needed to get behind him. Dr. Oz is a little bit to me, but you know what? He's standing behind Corey, and for this moment, any kind of exposure that Corey can get, and anybody speaking out against.
Somebody says, I wish he would cut his hair. We do too. But guess what? You haven't been through what he went through. So if he's going to have his long hair, let him have it.
I called the Santa Barbara police.
Yeah.
Just got off the phone with them. As you were speaking, I was speaking.
Okay.
And you've claimed that you spoke to them about your abuse in 1993, just to be clear.
It's on record.
And you named names. I listened to the recording. I did not hear the names in the recording.
Because they turned the recording off during that.
But I did hear you speak to them, so we know that actually happened.
I reported I was molested.
Here's what they said. I'm quoting them. We're aware of the statements that Mr. Feldman is making regarding an investigation in 1993. Our records do not indicate that he named any suspects. They want you to reach out to them.
Oh, I'd be more than happy to.
Would you call them right after the show?
Absolutely.
Why haven't you already called them and say, guys, I said this to you. How can you not at least acknowledge?
Because they've never acknowledged it until today, and they're acknowledging it by saying they don't have any recollection.
Today's the first day that they are acknowledging that they've spoken to you?
Well, it's the first day anybody's, I think, gone to them for a comment, but it's the first time I've heard any recount from them at all.
So Dr. Oz had him on, and then Dr. Oz and and his lawyer, I'm going to play a piece of this, identified this particular pedophile producer who produced a couple of Corey's movies.
The show today and made allegations about people that he says have abused him. He took all the clues that we gave to him and confirmed 2 names, and there are other names that he shared privately that I'm not going to share right now that are stunning. But I want to make sure that the people who he has firsthand knowledge of that he alleges abused him are at least known about by more people, so people can decide if they want to be careful. And John Grisham is the real name that we've been able to decipher so far. Denise, our legal counsel, I've asked you to investigate this, so help me and everybody else understand what we know about this guy and whether or not people are at risk because of him potentially.
Right. So through our investigation, what we learned is that he is in America. He's not in Mexico.
Like Corey said he was in Mexico.
He thought he was. I think it was based on one of his postings, which was probably to lead the authorities to believing that he was in Mexico. But from what we've gathered, we think he's here, possibly in Riverside, California somewhere. We know as early as this month, or October, that he had an address in Riverside, California. So we've been looking into that. We haven't narrowed it down yet. But the public should be concerned because this guy has an extensive arrest record. Everything from assault, theft, drugs. Right now,
It's a pretty graphic image.
It is. He's currently in violation of reporting because in 2001, he was arrested on child molestation charges. There was a jury trial. He was found guilty in 2003. He served time in prison.
For child molestation?
For child molestation. Pretty serious stuff.
These are images off his social media page.
Off of an old MySpace page that we found. And there are pictures, like Corey said, of him on there.
Gotta delete those old MySpace pages. I think ours is probably still up.
That this guy has
probably
posted.
should go find it and delete it.
What's this thick document?
That's his arrest record.
This whole thing is arrest record?
Yeah.
How many
Like
pages,
I said,
how many pages is the arrest
it's multiple
record?
pages, and this is only a...
So they're going to help Corey.
Yes.
And I'm really excited about this. This particular guy that he says did this to him is a man by the name of John Grissom. And if you look at his IMDb, you can see that he did License to Drive and Dream a Little Dream. He didn't do much, but he did these movies with Corey Haim in the 90s or the 80s, late 80s. And he gave other names. Corey gave other names, and we're really...
He gave them to Dr. Oz. And so I think that shows a level of trust where he's like, all right, if you're going to be willing to back and support me, I'm going to go ahead and give you these names.
So he is supporting Corey Feldman's Truth Campaign. It's now going up. It's now at close to, $200,000. So I hope that, people who feel led to can give to him, and I'm just really excited for Corey to get his message out there.
Yeah.
So the Zero Hedge article says Feldman, who has been a fixture on the daytime talk show circuit since first revealing in 2006 that they were molested, said he wanted to name Grissom in his 2013 memoir, but his lawyers warned him not to. Feldman said the men repeatedly molested him while Hamm was repeatedly raped. Trauma that Feldman said contributed to Hamm's death by overdose. Of course, Feldman's claims are receiving new attention amid the deluge of accusations. You have Kevin Spacey's Netflix being canceled at first. They were going to film it. They were going to film the last season. They canceled it. And another dude came out today.
So exciting. If you guys didn't watch our little live clip that we did about 10 minutes earlier this afternoon, go back and watch it. But we just say, listen, Hollywood, we are so done with you and your perverts, and we're excited. God is moving. God is shaking things up. God is exposing.
And every time,
all darkness will come to light.
Like every time they try to do the sleight of hand like they used to do, it's not working. It keeps going back. Another person is coming out. Like we covered. Even George Bush Sr. is like a perv, right? And it's not okay to be a pervert. It's not okay anymore. And I'm really excited that people are bringing up the littlest things.
Yeah.
Like dirty jokes and just touching people on the bum and things like that. That's not okay. And I'm excited that liberals are finally saying that's not okay.
Right.
It's not okay to say dirty jokes around women. It's not okay to do this.
It used to be wide, and I think that the pendulum has gone so far in the other direction, it couldn't help but come back.
Right.
But you have to remember, it used to be rude and crude to even curse
around
in front of a lady.
You're in the presence of a lady, you don't even use that kind of language.
Or children. And nowadays we have these kids that are in the room while these vile movies are being played. We have children that are in the vile movies, which is how these kinds of things are taking place.
Absolutely.
And so the pendulum is coming back. People are saying, no, we want a moral society. Right. You, as Christian girls, we have been around people that think it's okay to say dirty jokes. You know what I mean? Now, of course, we usually call it out, but it does kind of make you uncomfortable. Like, let's say you're at a party at a friend's house, You know, we would go to Halloween parties and stuff like that. And we try never to push Christianity on people.
Right.
We don't do that. We do it here because it's on our show and we're allowed. But when we're in public, usually people bring God up to us. We don't bring it up to them. And you'll be at these parties and people will say stuff and you just kind of have to just let it roll off your back and let it go because it's not your house. You don't have to be there.
There was one guy at the party. It's his house. Not his house. Long story. But anyways, there's a creeper. And he's always creepy. You just don't randomly come up and hug me as a stranger. Like, seriously, especially drunk. And he was creeping on everybody. And Matt could see it. And Matt was like, this dude was like really tall. Matt's like 5'11", but this dude is like huge. And Matt, like, literally, the guy was creeping on my mom's best friend. And Matt
just kind of took the space.
He literally just walked in between them and he just stood here. And he just got this look. It was like, he was like a military guard. He looked, he was just stone cold. He didn't smile. He didn't talk. He was making a point.
Right.
Stop creeping, creep.
Right.
You know, and that's what a real man does, you know. Stop creeping, creep. So anyways, I'm really excited about this. People are speaking out. A couple. So these are two. She just needs a treat.
Yeah, she's like 5.
Just needs a treat. Jasper, husky. Yeah, we spoil her, but she's little and she's allowed to be spoiled. So a couple other things, funny news that I want to bring to you guys. It's not really funny. I know it's not funny, but it's funny to me. Demographic dysphoria looms as scientists discover sulfur dioxide lowers sperm count. Back in June, we explained how a demographic dysphoria looms for central bankers as doctors discovered sperm counts in Western men have plummeted nearly 60% over the last 4 decades.
How does that link to central bankers?
Just zero hedge. Zero hedge connects everything to central bankers.
Okay. I'm going.
In an era of depopulation, and Comica's Chris Hamilton noted the next business cycle recession will be unending and is very likely to run years into decades and perhaps a century more. We also expanded on the idea of the declining population already indebted with record debt levels and zero interest rates is a perfect cocktail for disaster. The global problem identified in one chart provided to us via Chris Hamilton shows the annual growth of the 0 to 64-year-old population and combine the OECD nations, most of EU, US, Canada, Mexico, Chile, Japan, South Korea, Australia, New Zealand, plus China, Brazil, and Russia. To sum up the chart, all the population growth responsible for economic expansion in the past century is coming to an end in 2018.
Huh. So they are achieving their Agenda 21 here in this chart, where now we'll be in the negative.
Mm-hmm.
Where we actually will be dipping down, whereas we believe in creation. Whether you do or not, we give you the creation viewpoint, which is the last, let's say 8,000 years, the population has been increasing.
Right.
And the New World Order, Agenda 21, the population control people that they preach, we even have viewers that believe in population control, believe that believe the lie that the earth is overpopulated. They believe that at some point it's going to be so overpopulated we will have consumed all the earth's resources.
But however, those people live in cities.
This has been their goal.
Those people live in cities and they see the destruction that is happening by a very small amount of people. I mean, like in the scheme of things.
When you look at landmass.
I mean, we as a United States, I mean, we pet sit for a living. We go into giant houses where people are not home. This is what's called a waste of resources.
Yes.
So when you're sucking the planet dry and you have one child in a giant mansion with like 6 bedrooms, we don't have a population problem. We have a resource-sucking obesity problem. Okay? It's disgusting to see.
Not literal obesity. Just
obesity
literally
and everything
of consumption of goods.
Yes.
There is enough land out there. You could put I think they said all the people in all of America in this tiny city in Florida or something like that.
I don't know.
I've watched that before. Like there's a
like
city in Florida where they would all literally fit in there. There is so
everybody
much
in the world
land.
can fit in Texas and get an acre or something like that.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So the point is overpopulation is not an issue, but they have been systematically, they teach it in the colleges. A lot of our viewers even believe it. It is a big lie. Because like Leah said, when you're living in a city, it seems plausible.
And you see the pollution and the destruction that's happening.
Right.
People call it the carbon footprint.
Right.
It's just called wastefulness. When we go to see our Amish, those people have a carbon footprint and a wastefulness of like negative 500.
And they have more children than anyone, you know.
They literally, you go to their farm and they heal the land. They are literally, they work on it every day.
Right.
Like we get newsletters. We're bringing the fertility back to the land. We're healing the land. They're healing the water supply. Right. They're doing what humans were created to do. The Bible and God gave us the responsibility. And yes, Michelle and I don't like to preach at you guys because we love that you're coming to us. We get a little preachy, but everybody needs to recognize that we all are harming the planet. Mm-hmm. And I pray every day to get to this place where I'm no longer a harm
right, but
to the planet. And that when I wake up every day, because I feel there's an energy. It says, the Bible says that if men and women stop praising God, the rocks and trees will cry out. So this is where
they are kind of crying out.
This is where like the people who necessarily don't believe in God or they believe in energy, as I've talked to some of my Bernie Sanders.
Just put it there.
No! Don't touch me! I have a touching problem. I have a touching thing. I have a touching thing. You know I have a touching thing.
But it should be in front of your face.
I have a touching thing.
All right, finish your sentence.
Okay.
That was a sister moment for those of you that are new.
I have a touching thing. Don't touch me, please. Anyways.
That's why you guys stay around.
I know.
It's the real deal. No, let me sum this up. My point is, we do not have an overpopulation problem. And yet, they have sold it as a bill of goods so that when these numbers start to drop, the sperm counts start to drop, we're getting more and more sick, right?
Sick.
People are having less children. Then the new wave that's going to come through is, guess what, though? It's okay for us to have lower sperm counts. It's okay for everybody to be sick. It's okay for us to be killing ourselves off because there's too many of us. And people are going to buy the lie.
Right.
Some of them, but for those of you that have been awakened,
but if we turned it around, you can have a lot of kids. We try to do this every day. We try to be as resourceful as possible and to heal the land and be healers of the land. So anyways, there has been, there has to be an explanation to why developed and emerging market males are experiencing lower sperm counts.
Right.
And actually what's interesting about this is Alex Jones.
It's in the sky.
Shared a video.
Oh, it was so great.
Was it Vox or something? BuzzFeed. 4 guys got together and tested their sperm counts, and they're like way below normal. And you can just tell they have no testosterone. They're weak and wimpy looking. No offense to them. It's just true. The food that they're eating, I mean, it's just, they have no testosterone. They have no sperm count. It's sad. With that in mind, we think we found the answer in China as a new report links sulfur dioxide to lower sperm count. According to the Yu Liu, an environmental epidemiologist, suggests that poor semen quality accounts for 90% of male infertility. Impaired semen clearly interferes with conception, but is also often an indicator of other health problems.
Yeah.
Chemical and Engineering News outlines how Liu's clinical test demonstrates sulfur dioxide exposure to sperm development could impact sperm quality. So Liu and his team decided to study samples collected from men in China, and they had all visited Tongyi Hospital from 2013 to 2015, seeking help to conceive a child with their partners, which is very interesting.
That's in
that
China.
In a country where you're only now allowed 2 children, but up until just like last year, you could only have 1, and they killed them all they killed infants because of this. But anyways, the researchers measured sperm concentration, total sperm, and total motile sperm in each sample, controlling the factors that might affect quality, such as age and smoking. Then the scientists drew on government data from 9 air quality monitoring stations in Wuhan,
air quality,
a transportation hub and manufacturing powerhouse, to estimate exposure to air pollutants such as sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, carbon monoxide, and ozone. Liu employed a model that analyzed the location of the monitoring stations in relationship to each man's home to predict individual daily pollutant exposures. Because human sperm develops over 90 days, the researchers calculated pollution exposures for the 90 days prior to the collection so they could look at key periods of development. So when his team used a statistical test to rate the quality against increasing air pollution, they found no impact from NO2 or CO or O3. However, for each 10 milligram increase in the SO2 exposure during the first stage of development, concentration dropped by 6.5%. And total count by 11%, and total motile by 13%. So levels of SO2 during the later stages of development did not appear to impact sperm quality. The annual mean SO2 concentrations in Wuhan during the study period ranged from a high of 33 to 18. In the U.S., annual mean is less than, so you're good in the U.S. is not quite as high. But our results indicate for the first time that the sulfur dioxide exposure may lower quality by affecting the earliest stages of development. And so it goes on to say that it could be just pollution. You can't breathe, you're just breathing in. So global sulfur dioxide monitoring map provided by the NASA outlines many developed and emerging economies are currently experiencing some form of sulfur dioxide release. Here on the East Coast of the United States, we are swamped with power plant expulsion of sulfur dioxide. So you might want to check that out. So yes, our Kansas is just going to get upset. Don't show them the map. It's like we need to move out west.
What the heck? This is where we live, man. Right there. That's where we live. Well,
so
dang it. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But you know what? The Bible talks about you shall eat any deadly thing, and it will not harm you. We talk about using wisdom. We tell you guys not to drink out of plastics. We tell you not to use the microwave. We tell you to drink raw milk, eat organic, have a farm, man, and stuff like that. But ultimately, all
that smoke you see going in the air from the power plants, it's killing little babies.
First and foremost, you must seek God, and He can override and overcome.
Absolutely.
This is poor quality semen and a drop, but you know what? There's still some in there. It can go get it done. So here's the thing. You must not live in fear, but wisdom, and we must stop this for future generations.
It's satanic, and I have to tell you that all these
the devil comes to steal, kill, and
everybody
destroy.
says that technology is great because, like, look, we have antibiotics. Well, antibiotics are becoming we're making
bacteria, antibiotic-resistant bacterias. So that people are dying from things that normally would have been able to be fighted by just an antibiotic. Fought. Did I say fighted out loud?
Fighted.
Did say that. Yep, fought. But I corrected it when you looked at me.
New word, Pelosi.
But I corrected it without a correction. It was just a look.
I'm going to bring up another. There's a lot of interesting articles. There's one more I want to bring to you, and then I'm going to end with a little clip. But
hang on. Let me get to this really quickly. Why are you sighing? I told you I was going to do this.
It's just funny to me. It's like when you go to run and somebody says, "Stop real quick."
No, you go first then. I'll remember mine. I won't forget.
Another Monsanto pesticide draws fire as farmers break out in rashes. Poor Monsanto just can't catch a break these days. Just yesterday, we noted that Monsanto's Roundup replacement, dicamba, and I was going to bring this to you, but I might as well just do it 2 in 1, was causing outrage in the ag community as state regulators all across the country were suddenly being flooded with reports from farmers saying the product is increasingly becoming airborne and killing crops far away from their fields. Now, they some of these states...
That's illegal, right?
It should. Well, some of these states have 400 case backlog. And they can't investigate it.
Right.
They have to go get the samples.
So you know what?
Stuff.
If you have a 400 case backlog against a specific company, then you have to tell that company to cease and desist until we can figure out what the heck is going on here, man.
That's really true. Now, Yahoo reports that the company has been forced to put on hold the launch of yet another product. They should just stop making products.
Yeah.
A product that was approved for usage by the EPA. One of their main spokespeople was asked, "Can you tell us that it's not carcinogenic?" And they're like, "Well, not really, because we haven't actually tested Roundup for cancer." By the way, they won't do it. By the way, because they know it does.
So when you put the BT into the, it's not just the Roundup; it's the genetically modified.
It's all of it
because it's killing the sperm inside of men. Just because that's what it's supposed to do.
Right. So it seems that this other new thing is responsible for causing a number of farmers to break out in a nasty rash. The product is called Nemastrike and is intended to kill worms that can reduce corn, soybean, and cotton yields. Oh, and apparently it is not great for the skin. Monsanto company put on hold the launch of a chemical designed to be applied to crop seeds on Wednesday following reports it causes rashes on people. The latest instance of complaints about the company product that was approved by the U.S. Environmental Regulatory. This is why the EPA to me is a joke. It's a joke. As long as Monsanto and Roundup are allowed to be like legal, the EPA is a joke. Just shut it down. Just pollute all you want or whatever. The delayed launch of what Monsanto calls a blockbuster product is another setback for the company.
I think you said it right the first time. Blockbuster.
400 people used this part of this product during a trial. It has caused a limited cases of skin irritation, rashes, and appear associated with the handling and application of the seed treatments. And of course, they're trying to try to, bring this out as no big deal. No, don't look at this. Go ahead. Now your thing.
Oh, no. Well, while you're talking about that, and I don't have the article with me, but John Petter, who is under the alias Texas Rancher right now, is here. And he had sent me an article, I think from like the 25th of October or something like that, talking about how baby foods has been discovered, like the ones that like Enfamil, Gerber, all of the big name brands have arsenic and all kinds of really bad, they're not just trace amounts. I mean, they're like 9 or 10 times the amount of the FDA's like limit. Okay, this is in baby food. So Leah and I don't have time to bring up the article right now, but just know anybody that you have in your life, don't let them feed their kids anything but either mama's milk or food. Like my mom used to take the food that she made for dinner and put it in a blender with some water and feed it to us. So stop with we have cousins that when their first child was born wouldn't feed their kid anything but the specific, like, how expensive is this to do? Microwavable meals for their kid because everything else was quote unquote too dangerous. And I want to say to my cousins, like, you're killing your kids. They're going to have low sperm count because you started them off with all this crud, like chemical stuff. So stop with the baby food. Stop with anything that is not completely. So
I'm going to read this one last thing. I'll do my other thing tomorrow. Anyways, so we know that the EPA is in cahoots and colluding with Monsanto. That's where Jess Rollin, the EPA's Deputy Division Director for the Office of Chemical Safety and Pollution Prevention, and the chair of the agency's Cancer Assessment Review Committee, comes in to assure you that he's fully exploiting his role as chair of the CARC to kill any potentially damaging research. If I can kill this, I should get a medal, he says. So, Jess called me out of blue this morning. We have enough to sustain our conclusions. Don't need gene tox or epi. The only thing is the Cheminova study with the sarcoma in mice. We have that study now, and its conclusions are irrelevant because at limit, close, question mark. I am the chair of the CARC, and my folks are running this process for glyphosate in regular review. I have called a CARC meeting in June. Also, Jess called to ask for a contact name. I passed on Jessline's email. He told me no coordination is going on, and he wanted to establish some saying, if I can kill this, I should get a medal. However, I don't want to get your hopes up, blah, blah, blah. So, killing anything connecting Monsanto with cancer. Right there. The dude runs he's in the government. So no, I'm not really afraid right now of Islamic terrorism when the EPA is trying to kill studies that Roundup is killing people.
Right.
Glyphosate.
In mass. I mean, cancer is like one of the biggest killers in our country right now, if not the biggest killer. I don't know if it's
every day people go and they get this stuff. It's called Roundup, and they see a weed and they say, I'm doing a good thing today. Hey, honey, guess what I'm going to do today? I'm going to go to the store and I'm going to get some Roundup and I'm going to spray the weeds. And then the wife comes out and says, oh, honey, you killed the weeds. Look what you've done. Thank you. I'll cook you a meal. It'll be manwich and the Heinz ketchup and everything like that, right? And we'll use the white bread and the bleached flour and it'll be great. And I'll give you a Coke and we'll have some Lay's potato chips and we'll all be fine in the morning. And then he wakes up and says, I'm having a heart attack. What's happening? Why are we dying alone? Why couldn't we have any children? She's going to die alone of a heart attack.
I don't know where you come up with this stuff.
Ernie.
Oh my gosh.
Because of the Roundup.
Okay.
And the manwich. There's nothing wrong with manwich. It's probably just fine.
Every once in a while, we get some of these comments in the comment section, and I feel like they are worth addressing. Just to explain where Leah and I come from. Blue Horsey has left a couple of different comments here, and so I want to bring them to the light. Why are we so focused on longevity in this life? The afterlife is what matters, and they're leaving comments about how we're close to the tribulation and things like that. So why do we preach so hard that we have to fix this? I'm going to answer that question first with, to me, the main reason, and let Leah take the second half here. To me, the main reason is I don't think that we have an accurate view and description, biblically speaking. We have hyperbole of what is going to happen in the last days. But I have to tell you that I serve a very, very mighty God. And I go back to the flood, where God said, I will never do this again to the earth, meaning destroy it all, right? Because it's gotten so bad. So when I hear about Jesus coming back on a white horse and things like that, when I look at Scripture, I see a victorious God. I see Jesus Christ coming, and it leads up to a massive victory, right? Where when we read about kind of the end times, we hear about these people that hide under rocks, and they say, please let the rocks fall on us, because they are, and these are the evil people that are running in fear. So here's the thing. I honestly, in everything that is within me, I do not believe that the righteous will suffer during any kind of time of tribulation or anything like that. And I believe that the wicked will continue to suffer, and they will continue to go through horrible things. But God is going to come back to a victorious, pure, holy, spotless church. He's not going to just pull them out from some sort of crazy time where they've been suffering and things like that. So we are ushering in this victory. We are going to take it back, right? And so we have to continue to fight for that victory. We are the part of getting to that victory. Now, you give them the other half.
Well, no, that's exactly it. And so just to let you know that every single Christian has believed throughout time that they lived in the end of days.
True.
Did you know that Christopher Columbus set sail because he believed that Jesus was coming back and he had to go preach the gospel to the whole world?
And he did, and good for him.
The Pilgrims, they had
two views.
A 500-year plan.
Yep.
But they also believed that they could be living in the last days. They were being persecuted. There were wars and rumors of wars. They were being, persecuted, put in prison. Even before them, Christians were burning Christians at the stake. There are many times that this whole tribulation type thing could have happened. And what if the Pilgrims did not have a 500-year
plan?
What if the founding fathers had said, you know what? I bet Jesus is coming back. King George is doing his thing. It's pretty wicked. Why don't we just...
Those are some crazy times, man.
Why don't we just lay down our arms and let it happen? Here's the thing. Righteous men and women never give up liberty, never give up justice. And the theme in the Bible is to take care of the fatherless and the widow and to fight for justice.
That is what it means. Here's the thing, and I just said this, actually I was messaging Will, and I said, because we were talking about this, and I said, listen, what it means to have your wicks trimmed is to live as if you are fighting for many generations until that last day. You are fighting as if he's not going to come back. All right, it's a dual purpose. You're fighting as if he's going to come back for as far as winning souls.
He's coming back tomorrow.
And so we have to. And so what I don't like about this message, because listen, in all honesty, you may feel like he's coming back, and you may be right, but you don't know, because no man knoweth the day or the hour.
And here's the thing.
So we have to live, or we're being completely irresponsible.
What if Jesus isn't coming back? What if you were supposed to be making the country better for your kids and grandkids? What if the Federal Reserve set us on a path for 100 years that was horrible and awful? This 100 years of communism and destruction and perversion, none of it needed to happen. And I tell you what, if the internet existed back then it would have gotten out,
right,
that those bankers were meeting on Jekyll Isle
at Cruel, and they did this during Christmas in Congress.
And it would have gotten out, and the Federal Reserve would have never have been passed. If the internet had been around, Roe v. Wade would never have passed.
Right.
But what we have in the past 100 years, and I am speaking to the Christians, and the atheists can see it. The Christians have a hard time doing any self-reflection because every Christian that I know, it's so much easier, even as myself, to make those changes yourself. It's so much easier to point at the wicked, evil pie in the sky.
Right.
So it's a lot more fun, right, for us to come here and talk about the Federal Reserve. You're not the Federal Reserve, so it's not you, right?
Right.
But what if I told you if every Christian pulled their child out of the public school system? If just Christians did, we could destroy the public school system.
Right.
But the Christians won't, because they are sucking on the teat of the very government that they say they despise. Most Christians will say, I hate communism, I hate socialism, while sucking the teat of communism.
Right.
And socialism. It is the epitome of hypocrisy.
Right.
And if Christians band together, we have the ability to change this country tomorrow.
Like that.
If we were willing to do the sacrifice and hard work that it took to do it.
So Blue
Just
Horsey,
Christians.
who had brought this up, I want to get to the response here, because he says, he or she, I'm not sure, you're right about no one knows the day or the hour. You know I support your cause. I'm just saying that first and foremost is to go and make disciples. Now, here at Resistance Chicks, this is how we make the disciples. This is how we win the lost, by healing the country. And that means by healing people. How did Jesus spread the gospel to start with?
By healing people.
He laid hands on the sick and they were well. All right. So
and you know what else he did? When you hear the parables that Jesus spoke, his gospel, remember, the gospel, he said to the disciples, go and preach what I've taught you.
Yeah.
He didn't say, go and tell the people that I'm going to die and rise again. He said, if you love me, feed my sheep. He said, if you love me, keep my commandments.
I have goosebumps. That's so powerful.
He said, if you love me, keep my words and share my words with people. Jesus was trying to show people how to take the word of God and live it.
Right.
That's why at Resistance Chicks here, we want to show people how to take the word of God and to live it. Because, listen, I grew up in the church. If the doors were open, we were there. My mom had Christian TV playing. I went to Bible school to be an evangelist, to lead people to Jesus. But something was missing there. I can baptize people with the Holy Spirit. I can lay hands on anybody and everybody speaking in tongues. It might be crazy to you, but it works. People want it, and then it's there. They're done. But here's the thing. Something is missing.
Why isn't the church as powerful as it should be, knowing just how powerful the gospel of Jesus Christ is?
Because they stay in this thing. This is the church. Jesus died and he rose again and we're going to go to heaven. But that's not the gospel. The gospel is the entire message from Genesis to Revelation.
Right.
And the essence of it is to love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul and all your mind, and to love your neighbor as yourself. If you love your neighbor as yourself,
you ain't going to let Monsanto come in and poison them.
If you love your neighbor as yourself, you're not going to demand that your neighbor pay property taxes so that you can send your kid to public school.
Right. All right. So I want to wrap this up, but my point is that laying hands on the sick is equivalent to getting people well again. People will come to Jesus when Christians start standing up and saying, oh my gosh, God's first job that he gave to man was putting them in the garden.
Right.
Oh my gosh, God's first job that he gave to man was to be fruitful and multiply.
And have children.
And
take care of animals. I went to the Rhema Bible Training Center, and everything was about healing. They even had a healing school. Benny Hinn's ministry would call up Rhema and say, how do you get people to keep their healings? Because they would come and they have this miraculous healing, and then the healing would go away. Like, they get sick again. Well, you can get healed. But if you go back and start drinking Diet Cokes every day, you're going to end up dead. So the church is cool with their air conditioning and their Monsanto products and white bread pastries and all these things. So they're literally, and the Bible says, actually, if you eat any deadly thing, it shall not harm you. So I don't want you to be afraid of what you're eating, but I want you to be aware. Right. Because once you know the truth, then you don't go out and make these things happen. If you know it, then you avoid it. You do what you can. You ask God for grace. Right. I'm not telling everybody you have to start on a farm right now. I'm saying that God will meet you where you're at. But if you are stuck in your ways saying, okay, the parable of the talents.
Love it.
Dude gives out a bunch of money to people.
Let's go with 5, 3, and 1. That's helpful. $5, $3, $1. It's easiest thing.
And says, I'm coming back. So the first guy, he's like, I invested here and I did this with this. He's like, oh, you're great.
Comes back and
Second
got $10.
Guy, okay.
With his $3, he's got $6.
Now we're down to the guy with like 1. He's like, I knew
that you were a hard
man. So I just sat on it and I didn't do anything with it.
So that it would come back and you know what? Here is what is yours. I saved it for you.
And that's the church today. And God is like,
what did you do?
You know what? I'm sorry. You wasted it. What you have is going to be given to somebody else.
Right.
So every day Christians need to be getting up and saying, God, how can we heal people? I have to tell you, this is where the anointing clicked for me. Farming and faith and touching God, because once you realize that God is a farmer, that he created a giant farm, which is what the earth is, and he told us to care for the planet. So if literally, our only job that he gave us
in the beginning
was to care for the planet and the animals, you can tell where his heart is at.
Right. Now so then after the fact, now our new job is to spread the gospel, but that doesn't take away the original job.
Well, that's not a job. Spreading the gospel is who we are. That's not a job.
Exactly.
The job is what you do every day with your hands. Okay? Your job is what you do to keep you busy through the day, because guess what? God didn't create man to actually have to work. It's part of the curse. Okay? The fall. You're supposed to enjoy your life and live in a garden, but, you know, Eve ate the apple and all this stuff. So he created this wonderful, beautiful planet for us to be on. And why would we destroy it? In doing that, in saying, God, I'm sorry, your planet is dying. I don't even want to try to take care of it. Where if you
you know what? You're coming back soon, so I'll just let it go to heck in a handbasket.
That's like saying my house is a wreck, but the owner's coming home soon anyway, so I'm just going to keep messing it up and letting it be disgusting.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm going to wrap this whole conversation up with this one thing that I am trying to implement in my life, and Leah's grabbed a hold of it. It sounds so simple and stupid, but it's not. Literally, the Bible says, do everything that you are doing as if it is unto the Lord. I've never implemented that in my life ever. And now I find when I'm doing the dishes, when I'm getting in the car to drive, anything that I'm doing, I am pressing myself to do it as if I am doing it unto God. So if I'm going to live in America and live on this earth, I'm going to spread this message as if I'm spreading it because God wants me to spread it, because he does. And that's why we preach what we preach. So I hope that wraps it up. Somebody had asked if Jesus actually wrote anything down that's in the Bible. No, the words that we have from Jesus come directly from those that were around him. I wanted to get to that. Not that we're doing a whole Bible study thing, but all right. So lastly, for tomorrow, Tommy Robinson had a big book release that he was going to do. He had thousands of books he's got signed. Lots of people bought tickets. He had speakers coming in from Canada. He had hired 50 doormen to protect the door. He had hired sniffing dogs to protect the area. This was a very big deal. He was trying to get involved with the Manchester police, telling them that he was going to do this thing. And it wasn't until 3 days before it's going to go out, the Manchester police start bullying him and the venue owners and stuff like that, and they've gotten it shut down. Now, Tommy says he's going to refund everybody's tickets, but he is still going tomorrow into Manchester Square. He's going to be giving books away that he's already signed for free, and he says a lot of people might be asking, why am I still going forward with this if it could be dangerous? And he said, listen, it is dangerous. I had a safe way. So now it's not going to be safe because I cannot let them push us. You don't deal and negotiate with a terrorist, which is what this police are actually becoming. So he's going to be there. Now, I don't know if Justin, a.k.a. Worth a Look, is going to go, but he said he might. He's actually in the Manchester area. I'm hoping possibly he might get some footage for us if he does go. But this is something that's happening in the UK. They are censoring Tommy Robinson for a book that he has written, but it's not just the book. It's the message that he's trying to get across that they are censoring. So I wanted to cover that.
Right. We'll cover that tomorrow too. So guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Mass Faith 3 and Resistance Chicks YouTube channels. We love you. God loves you. God bless. We have a P.O. Box. It is 107 Milford, Ohio 45150. You can address Resistance Chicks so we can read your letters on air. Is that Tommy's book? It's called Mohammed's Quran, Why Muslims Kill for Islam. You can buy that on Amazon right away. Probably better than Donna Brazile's book. And most certainly better than Hillary's What Happened. That's the book that I would tell you guys to get if you want to. Thank you, our moderators, for being here. I know that John Petter, Texas Rancher, was here. Maya, Gary, Sooks was here briefly. And thank you guys for your comments. If you left something that we missed, go ahead and leave it in the comment section after the video, because we always go back and read those. Do you have anything that you want to...
Nope, we're good. Good night, guys.
You don't want to sing to them the "Oh What a Feeling" when we're dancing on the ceiling?
I don't know.
Come on, how do you not know that song?
Sorry. I mean, I do. Like, if it started to play, like, I'd totally be like, oh, yeah. It's just one of those songs.
All right. Let's see. Tommy Robinson has given an update on Chelsea Wright. The CPS have blocked a private prosecution, and Chelsea has called a halt to the campaign. That's very interesting. Wow. All right. Once again, thank you guys for being here. And we always go live every Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That will change on Sunday when our clocks go back. So make sure you look where your time corresponds with the 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yep. All right. See you guys.
Later, Gators. It didn't go.
It didn't go.
The calls.
I was cold, all alone, no place for home, every day, so afraid, but you called my name.